So did you hear about the ITC Hotels listing? It was quite a ride, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, I did actually. It definitely wasn't the smooth debut everyone was expecting.
Right. I mean, they listed at a pretty significant discount, like 30% below the discovered price, which is quite surprising.
Yeah, exactly. And to be more specific, it landed at 188 rupees on the BSE and 180 rupees on the NSE after the discovered prices being 270 rupees and 260 rupees respectively, I guess.
Wow, that's a huge difference, isn't it? So, what exactly happened there, and how did it impact the existing ITC shareholders?
Well, the demerger ratio was 1 is to 10, meaning for every 10 ITC shares, you got one ITC Hotels share, and ITC retained a 40% stake, with 60% being given to the shareholders. But it seems the market wasn't too enthusiastic initially.
Okay, so that explains the share distribution. But why the big price drop right at the beginning? Was there anything else at play?
Well, it seems that the market was anticipating it to be listed somewhere between 140 rupees to 175 rupees per share based on future estimates. And that was an estimate by Devon Chooksey Research. They were looking at a 20 to 25 times EV/EBITDA multiple.
Interesting. So it seems like the discovered price was a bit too optimistic and the market corrected it sharply, I guess.
Yes, and after listing, the shares were even locked at a 5% lower circuit on the BSE at 178.60 rupees a piece. I mean, that's a pretty steep drop.
A lower circuit? That's a pretty dramatic start, isn't it? It almost sounds like the market was giving a pretty big thumbs down.
Precisely. It's like, well, the market was probably saying, hold your horses. It's not worth that much just yet.
Right. So, given all this, what happens to the parent company ITC? Did their shares take a beating as well?
Actually, ITC's shares were marginally lower, about 0.14% down, trading around 434.65 rupees, which is not that significant comparatively, right?
Okay, so not a huge impact on the parent company, it seems. But what is the thinking behind the demerger? What's the point of doing this?
Well, the idea is that by separating the hotel business, ITC can focus on its higher margin core business segments. Meanwhile, ITC Hotels can gain more flexibility and attract strategic investors.
So it's about unlocking value for both entities, like giving them each their own space to grow and focus. It's like giving a plant more space to thrive.
Exactly. The demerger allows for better resource allocation and distinct growth strategies for both entities, which in theory should improve valuations. I mean,
That makes sense. And what about the long-term view for ITC Hotels? Do they have any expansion plans?
yeah, they are planning to expand their portfolio to over 200 hotels and 18,000 keys by 2030, which is pretty ambitious, actually.
That sounds quite aggressive. So I guess it's a long-term game for them, and they're making big moves for that, right?
Absolutely. And about 35% of their hotel portfolio is owned, with the rest being managed, including franchises. And they have healthy return ratios with a ROCE of around 20%. So the financials look pretty good.
That's good to know, but it also seems that the demerger didn't really give ITC shareholders any material increase in value initially, according to analysts at Devon Chooksey, right?
Right. They adjusted their target price for ITC to 520 rupees, down from 534 rupees, to account for the holding company discount, after the demerger.
So it's a bit of a balancing act. And it's not always an immediate win for all stakeholders, I guess.
Exactly. It's important to remember that these things are not overnight wins and the market takes time to adjust.
So it's like it's a longer term play, and we'll have to watch how the market reacts in the coming weeks and months, I suppose.
Precisely. It's about letting both entities grow independently. And that takes time, like nurturing a plant. Now, before we move on, if you are enjoying our chat and learning something new, do consider hitting the like and subscribe button below. It really helps us grow and reach more listeners like you.
Absolutely. It's a great way to support the channel. Now, another thing I'm wondering is about the removal from the Nifty 50 and Sensex. So when will that be?
ITC Hotels shares will be removed on T+3, which is, listing +3 business days as per standard protocol, I think.
Okay, that's clear. So everything is happening in quick succession, it seems. So What's your overall take on this whole demerger and listing process?
Well, it's a strategic move aimed at unlocking value in the long run, but it also demonstrates the short term volatility that can occur in these situations, and we saw that today.
Yeah, and I guess it's a reminder that market reactions aren't always predictable, and there are always risks involved in these investment decisions.
Exactly. It's also like investors should be aware of their risk tolerance and make sure to do their own due diligence. Disclaimer: we advise investors to check with certified experts before taking any investment decisions.
Absolutely. It's crucial to be well informed before jumping into any investment. So, what do you think the future holds for both ITC and ITC hotels?
Well, ITC will likely focus on their core FMCG and cigarette business, while ITC Hotels is going to be focusing on growing their hotel chain. And I'm interested to see if they can hit their targets.
Yeah, I'm also keen to see how ITC Hotels will perform as a standalone entity and whether that ambitious expansion plan will pay off for them.
Absolutely, it's going to be interesting to watch. And the initial listing may just be a small bump in what will be a longer, much more interesting journey ahead.
Right, and we can't forget the influence of market sentiment as well, which can really change things quickly, right?
You got it. So it's like it's all about patience and informed decision making in the long term. And it's definitely not a race.
Agreed. So, any final thoughts on this or anything else we should keep in mind?
I guess it's just a good reminder that the market, like the weather, can be quite unpredictable. So stay informed and stay patient. And let's see where this goes.
Yeah, well, thanks for breaking it all down. And I guess we'll be watching closely to see what happens next.
You got it. It was my pleasure. I'll see you next time.